And I have the privilege, without wasting time, to move on to introduce Dr. Major General Atul Kotwal, who's been a colleague of many decades, we have worked together in many stations, and I feel privileged to be able to introduce him. He's going to talk on the leadership development in this national conference and workshop on a very important topic. And just to give his background, he is a winner of the Sena Medal Gallantry. Gallantry means done a gallantry act for which he's been awarded this by the armed forces and the government of India. He's also a recipient of the Vishish Seva Medal, which is again a presidential award. He's also got the Vijay Narayan Award, which is by the IAPSM, which is by the famous Dr. J.E. Park Oration, the first book on PSM that most of us have read in our younger days. He has nearly 4 decades of work experience as a public health specialist, academician par excellence, just trained. Actually, I think he's also gone through AIMS, and he's been in multicultural, multidisciplinary, environmental, various platforms for the government of India. Also worked abroad in the government of Botswana, and of course for a long time in the armed forces. In the fields of public health administration, research, teaching, mentoring, and he has lent a lot of muscle to actually various aspects of the comprehensive primary healthcare, quality initiative in public healthcare, and reviewing the NRHM, conceptualizing the urban health in addition to various other related activities. He was also an officer on special duty in the public health planning for the 11th 5-year plan, which is an extra feather in his cap. He evaluates various research activities for HSS and NHSRC and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So he's going to talk today on building and empowering teams, identifying and nurturing next generation leadership. And this is going to be another spoke in the wheel for the Leadership Developmental Lead National Workshop, so ably conceived by the visionary leadership of Professor Shiv Sareen and executed by his team of Dr. Professor Umesh Kapil and Ajay Sood and team NAMS, whom I want to heartily congratulate. And with this, I would now invite General Atul Kotwal to come and deliver his talk. General Kotwal, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, General Veeru Nair, sir. Thanks for that introduction and great seeing you again, sir. And thank you, Dr. Vagi Gupta, sir, for starting the session. Very familiar faces, lot of sitting here, and I can see the leaders of the medical field are here. So before I start the presentation, I would like to thank the NAMS, Dr. Sareen, sir, Dr. Umesh Kapil, Dr. Ajay Sood, and Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, sir, who has curated the entire program and made the excellent reading material also, and saved a lot of our work, all the faculty as such, to prepare that. I made a presentation, but this I'll be sharing with you so that you can go through it subsequently. I will not be reading the entire PPT as such. Imagine a world where all of us get up in the morning and very inspired and ready to go to work. It's not utopian. There are several organizations in the world which have that kind of environment of collaboration, of positivism, and they are thriving. At the same time, there are several organizations where there's infighting and working at cross purposes, and eventually affecting their entire work and the reputation of the organization too. What's the difference between these two? I think there may be many differences, but I think one of the most important differences is, and which can be easily modifiable, is the leaders and their teams. Because the leader is as good as a team, and a team is as good as the leader. And that's where I come to my talk today. You have had, I'm sure, excellent discourses since morning on the leadership as such, theories and all, also practical aspects. So I'll be covering over next 30-35 minutes or 40 minutes odd, so how to build and empower and nurture next generation leadership and build your teams as such. I can't change this slide from here. Okay, thank you. So these are the quotes which um, they just want to reiterate. It's not you just find one person and try to make him or a leader. You have to involve everyone. And to refer to the talk in the previous session about the percentages and all, I'm not going to details of that. It again varies from organization to organization. If organization which I'm heading, if I have that kind of proportion, we will stop functioning. And the think tank, as a think tank which we are for the entire ministry now, not only for NHM entire ministry, we won't be able to function like that if we have that kind of people. But anyway, it varies again from people to people. So overall, as a leader, you have to basically involve everyone as such. And our leadership as such starts not only when we become professors or head of the departments or heading the institutions and all. It starts from very beginning of our career. That's where you need to learn as well as lead also people who are working with you. And it's imperative in the health system as such. And in health system, we should not be looking at our organization only, that I'm here for a few years, or these people are here for a few years, some people may leave. What the use of investing so much of time and energy? But that's what I think we need to think of the entire medical fraternity as part of our team. Because if they are not with you here tomorrow, they may go to some other institution, some other states, and working for the entire health and strengthening of the country. Even if they go abroad, at least they are working for the humanity. And that's where, as a leader, we should involve everyone. And when I talk of everyone, although all of you know, what we discussed in the previous sessions also, don't always look at only the faculty and the nursing and all. Go to the last man or woman as such. If you don't have a housekeeper coming to your department or coming to hospital, I think the entire thing can get shut down. So he or she is also an integral part of team. So that includes everyone basically. And as definitely Sanjeev Kumar sir would have told you, it's the internal, yourself, the internal environment of your organization, and the externalities. So that includes everyone working with you and also with those who are looking outside and collaborating. So that's where comes your options of leadership and all also. And another, one of the core competencies is the innovate and embrace change. I think other 6 core competencies that also would have been discussed with you. So you have to, as you progress in age, as you progress professionally, and also as we all move towards, a lighter vein, towards a limit of incompetence as such, and eventually towards senility, it's imperative upon us to also keep on changing ourselves, learning, and innovating, and so that, we create leaders for tomorrow. Leaders for today and tomorrow are, as compared to olden times, are the ones who are collaborating more, who are discussing more, who are listening more, and who are empowering their teams to be leaders of tomorrow as such in the newer dimensions also. So this is, just quick look at that, why we need to empower our teams. And so that I think it's a very good start to my session of the previous discussion as such. There were various percentages were discussed. So why do we need to empower is basically, not only job satisfaction of members as well as you, and mutual organization interest. And also if you see the overall work, the overall quality of the work, and also reputation of the organization. Just 3 the important ones, there are numerous. So I'll share with you, this is my NHSRC team, and this is such a big team which is, and when I took over the authorized positions of 139, in last 3 years, now we authorizes 214. So that's how we are growing with increase in budget as well as this thing. So that's the external part where as a leader, you need to convince people who are in the administration and planning as such, so what is the importance of your organization, how in future you need to expand your organization. That's one of the ways how you motivate your team also to work and empower them, and entrust other people to join your team. I'm just sharing you live examples as such over there. Here are the various divisions, each division headed by an advisor. Director RRC, NE is equivalent to advisor. I have a branch in Guwahati. And of course, 2 divisions, healthcare financing and knowledge management. Knowledge management is a new division which I created once I took over, because we realized that implementation research was not there as such, which to feed into policy. We were doing secondary reviews. So that's another way how you empower people, that looking at that KMD, knowledge management division, all the other divisions have also now started looking at implementation research, because they were going to feed. Now there's a formalized way where they are looking at that. And of course, the IT division also does not have the healthcare financing also does not have an advisor as such. This is a feedback. I don't know. We'll discuss about feedback subsequently, honest feedback or not. Is a feedback from one of my young leaders who was a senior consultant, professionally and technically and experience-wise qualifying for lead, but she had not become earlier. So she's independently holding one of the divisions. And this is a feedback from her when I asked her that you frankly write that how you feel empowered over the last 3 years. This is what she has written. And that is what, if you see the look at the words, that it is the appropriate channelization, confidence building, value, how much value you put to every individual as such, opportunities to learn and develop. By leading doesn't mean that you are taking only work as such. They also have to learn and develop. In fact, when I took over the organization 3 years ago, in the first all staff meeting, I mentioned that I've got a young team because the base is all young, the advisors who are senior and lead consultants, slightly senior. I said, you all are young, you must move ahead in life professionally and personally as such. Your horizon in HRC should be 3 to 5 years maximum. Unless and until you are becoming a senior consultant or a lead consultant or advisor. You must go out somewhere at a higher position, contribute more, maybe come back later to a higher position here in an HSRC. Not if anyone is spending more than 5 years here at the same post, that means either you are in one kind of rut, you don't want to learn more and you don't want to expand. It's our job to empower them to look for horizons, to improve further. Of course, my advisors came back to me after that. I had just joined 10 days before that. They said, sir, they'll leave us. I said, no problem. They will leave us, someone else will come. And they will not leave us without learning more, without gaining. And that's also our job, to make them empowered as such. So again, example, that's why you have to lead by example, lead from front. That's where the army teaching also comes in. Bringing energy and passion as such, and encouraging and providing opportunities to lead. So it's not only the divisional heads or the lead consultants lead, all of us lead. And we have to start, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll give you an example of the army as such. You would have heard of brigade commanders and division commanders, brigadiers and generals. There's a Langar commander also. There's a section commander also, who's commanding 9 people, but he's a commander. That's the and if in public I have to call that Havaldar, so I will call him as commander. So that because he's in front of his troops. So that's what leadership starts from very beginning, and that's what some kind of procedure should be there. And that's how we have to empower teams where we are working now to take the leadership role. I'll discuss further details also as such. This is from a senior leadership position in my organization, who's one of the advisors, as compared to my predecessor. I'm no names, but this is what she wrote. I told her also, I said, I'm not going to present before. So she told me that, no, sir, you have to present both. I said, okay. So this is what the slide made by, both the slides have been made by them. So this is what the change which she has mentioned. So one is accessibility. Second is your own expertise, all procedures and all. So the expertise, of course, you can say that even administrators are expert, the managers also have to be expert. The leaders have to be expert in these as well as beyond. So that beyond is something that is what makes a difference actually between the managers and the administrators and the leaders as such. And then confidence, of course, and you have confidence in your abilities. That's why the files don't go up and down again and again. Again, systems approach, look at everything in totality, and sum of parts is much more than the system. It's not a mathematical formula as such. And again, experiment. Team will create errors. The personnel will create errors. It is how we leaders try to explain to them what have they learned, how can they learn from errors, or what have they learned, and how in future they can do better. So that's what it's not that anyone who's doing any errors and all is not good fit to be part of your team. No, that's what. And a long-term vision, and again flexible working hours. I have the opportunity as such, which I could and which I am utilizing. So instead of any biometric, when I said my principal officer PO said that, sir, the biometric system is not functioning, I'm getting it functional. I said, no, don't get it functional. Just remove all biometric. I don't want biometric. I want people to be committed. I don't want people who do as such. And this is what I learned from one of my own leaders. My own teaching has been through observing people throughout my life. And one of my teachers who told me that people naukri karte. They come with a bag in the morning at 9 and 5:30 they are out and they switch off. So that's what, again, coming to what kind of this thing. So we want people who are passionate in the health as such, who 24/7, it's there in the mind. Of course, there are times to switch off and relax and all that. Work-life balance has to be there. That's again something which I keep on discussing in my organization. But at the same time, you have a passion. You can't say that after 5:30 or 6, I'm off now. I'll tomorrow morning when I come back, I'll then again switch on. It doesn't happen like that in our field. So that's the kind of, and for that you need to give some flexibility about working hours, because my team is working many times at night at 10, even on leave. Sometimes they say, okay, don't worry, sir. We will give you inputs on this, even if though I'm on leave, but let me work for 1 or 2 hours. So why should I put them in straight jacket as such that, okay, come from 9 to 5:30 only. And with the kind of, initiatives in the last few years in the Ministry of Health, you all know how much tremendous amount of expenditure has increased and various schemes and all of which are there. So the workflows and work patterns have changed. So coming now to how can I empower my team? Just quick talks about, points about leadership. So here, before I go further as such, so it's now not how I can empower my team, it is how we can empower our team. Because when you work with a team, you have to work together. You have, as a leader also, you have to be part of the team. You can't be outside. Similarly, when you're creating leaders within your team as such, they have to work as a team member also. You can't be sitting from outside as such. So that's what, the autonomy as such. I'm not going to read the entire slide. You all know these words, know the meanings of these words, and the slides will be shared with you. You can refer to these later on. We can have subsequent discussions also. Autonomy, responsibility, while having accountability. There can't be responsibility without any accountability. Communication, that interpersonal communication, free flow of communication, soft skills in you as well as your entire team. In fact, one of my, I remember last year, one of my own team members who the advisor had rated high, I rated very low and called the advisor as well as that team member also. These are the kind of language which you used on 2 occasions and we were warned. And even though you're good in work, but I need to rate you low. So you need to work on this, and next year we'll revise, we will reassess you and then see again. So that's also a very important aspect as such. And of course, investing in team for a long term, not a short term. Not that you take work out and then forget about that. Recognition, appreciation, as it was mentioned by the honorable chairpersons also in the previous session. And it could be, and again, at the time of recognition, appreciation, you have to always see people should not feel left out also. That if you're rewarding some people, you must be judicious in that, how to involve everyone in that too. Diversity and inclusion, I think we all know. Encouraging participation. Leader has to be inspiring and transformative. It's not the routine work as such, and the leading by example from front and all, and expertise as such. That goes without saying. You can't do anything in life as such as a leader or even as a professional without your own core expertise as such. But as leader, you need to go beyond that expertise and learn the administrative and managerial all also, because you can't be dependent on, like I can't be dependent on a finance guy. My second posting as a specialist in Ramgarh, Kent, erstwhile Bihar, now Jharkhand. I was heading the station health organization with about 40 odd people, and my clerk was doing single account, single page entry type of account at that time. So I'm talking of 1995. So I called him. I said, why not double entry system as such, which has now started everywhere? He said, humko to yahi aata hai. So I said, okay, from tomorrow I'll start working. So I did that. So after 3 days, he said, sir, I have tried to learn now. Let me start doing now. This is extreme, but then you need to be expert. Today, sitting here also, my principal administrative officer can't tell me, sir, these are the HR rules. I'm supposed to know those HR rules. So if I don't know something, I can always look up, open it up and look at it instead of signing the file without, this thing. Of course, trust and faith is there, definitely. But that trust and faith comes once you start working with people and you have trust in your own abilities also. You can't be having blind trust. That's the difference between trust and faith and blind trust. Mentoring is important, and that's where, those 10% people are talking about antagonists or partial agonists. Mentoring, I think, is very important, and it's not that you as a leader will be doing mentoring. You're selecting leaders within your team, sub-leaders so-called, that kind of mentoring. And now if you see the last one, the reciprocal mentoring or co-mentoring, it's not that mentoring has to be done by a senior. A lot of juniors and freshers come in our organization, all of our organization, from whom we can also learn. Their teams can also learn. And that's true. A new MD or DM probably can teach not only professionally about some other aspects also which he or she has learned from that organization. So that's the kind of mentoring which you are looking at as such. And the motivation as such, if you see, there are motivating factor and hygiene factors as such. I've highlighted few which which I'm going to discuss. Rest all I think you all know. The work itself. So when I have an all-staff meeting, I reiterate the point that you are working for the health system strengthening of the country. That's the value of the work which they have, and they are doing. It's not that I'm exaggerating. So similarly, whatever your team is doing, once you start valuing it and also conveying to them also the value addition which they do, that's I think very important motivational factor. Responsibility and everything, all you know, the advancement opportunities. Never think that so and so should keep working for us only. That's I gave an example. The advancement opportunity where they have the wings and they fly. So they may come back at a higher post as such. That's I think another important aspect of motivation. And the hygiene factors, again, your own entire inside the personal life, that work-life balance as much as possible. Again, in today's era, many times because of the HR shortages, especially of the skilled people as such, which we all facing, how much you can do. Even if you start making some efforts about it, the team starts appreciating it. And again, keep thinking of various unique ways how this work-life balance and COVID as such has given this opportunity now, wherever you're not directly interacting with the patients and all, some kind of work from home and all can be given as per defined deliverables. Like when we have work from home, it is not leave at home. It's as per defined deliverables within defined time. That's the kind of work from home where there's responsibility on them as well as on us. And of course, incentives again. There's a lot of talk and a lot of discussion, a lot of books also on this. Financial incentives, how many, we keep talking of pay scales and all, yes, definitely. They should be there to attract and retain them. At the same time, there has to be non-financial incentives also, and that's where the celebrating wins and recognition and awards and also as such come. Status again, status of everyone within the team, as we have status in society, and we feel empowered by that status. Similarly, status of every team member within your organization as such. Delegation is another tough ask. We many times feel that it's easier if we do it ourselves. So, but simple thing, like when you are at the faculty, and it happened with me, I was teaching SPSS that time in 2008 as a professor in FMC, and the UGs and all for PGs. It was very easy for me to analyze something and give it to them. But I used to give it to them that this is the raw data, you analyze and come back. It took time. Effort was more than triple or maybe 4 times. But they remember till date and they became experts subsequently. And that's how I to learn. When I came to FMC AIMS for my postdoctoral fellowship in epidemiology, that's what I was given. I was given a database and I was told that, okay, you already done MD, PSM 10 years ago. You have now come for more than 10 years ago. You now come for postdoctoral. So you do the analysis, you know what is LR and how analysis has to be done. So this is the booklet methodology of the dependent variables. Do it. So of course support was given. There were booklets which were the short books of Stata. Stata was manual those days, and there was another faculty over there, sociologist, anthropologist, who knew about the basics and all. So we sat down together. I should work at home, but I still remember that, and I still remember that teacher. So and I think that teacher is the ED of the Inclin now, where we are organizing this workshop as such. It's Dr. N.K. Roda. So at that time, initially, I thought that what is this? And similarly, in last week of August, and within 2 days, I was told that okay, there's going to be a conference on program evaluation in Nagpur in the 3rd week of September. So you have to attend. I said okay, thank you, sir. So requisition was filled up when the clerk brought it. We had a clerical assistant for that. And in September 1st week, he asked me, can you show me the draft manuals? I said, draft manuals? He says, yes. You are MDPSM with so much field experience, including abroad, foreign country and all also. You told me you did that evaluation of the insecticide-treated bed net program also in Botswana after the initial research and all. I said, yes, sir. Then you make draft manuals. So that's a kind of, responsibility. But again, with a watchful eye also. And feedback. So that's how you empower your team, and that's how you include them and motivate them. That delegation. So he had delegated me that task. At the same time, he had also been providing the guidance and also not micromanaging, not asking me every day what is happening, but also asking me. Micromanaging, I'll give you an example. My first posting as a specialist to Allahabad, I was the assistant director of health of a division, and my colonel med, who was a full colonel, I was a major, and he Very second day, he says we need to write guidelines on obesity. In 1991, that was a major topic as such. In army was looking then trying to look at that obesity is increasing. And next day, so he asked me how much time. I said 1 to 2 days only. Same day after 3 hours, he was going for some meeting and he came into my office. Ho raha hai na? I said yes sir. Because when a senior officer coming army, you have to stand up first. Yes sir. You sit down again, restart your work. Meanwhile, you're doing your routine activities also. And I had just joined. There was so much to learn. While coming back from meeting again, asked me, "Ho raha hai na?" Next day morning, he called me to office. Initial morning meeting we used to have. "Wo ho raha hai na?" I said yes sir. Again after 4-5 hours, he was going somewhere. Ho raha hai na? There's a time I was standing. I said, "Sir, I promised you 1 to 2 days. I'll give it to you. Please stop asking." So a colonel had to listen from a major because he was micromanaging and he was asking again and again without giving any inputs also. Without giving, if he had given me inputs, I hope you're writing. मेरे दिमाग में ये आया है 2-3 इसको देखना कवर हो रहा है कि नहीं. That would have been better kind of mentoring instead of micromanaging as such. So that's how you learn and that's what you don't do it subsequently. So this is again review and all and errors you must how to manage. Feedback again has to be plain and simple, but again how plain and how simple that you need to decide, because by now when you're coming to feedback, by now we know that as a leader you know the strengths and limitations of each member of your team. As someone asked that how do you know which are those 10% and all, I think as a leader within few days you understand who is doing what, who's knowing how much, and who's part of the team, who's working against, who's neutral. You know all that. You might be wrong in probably I think 0.5 to 1% of times you might be wrong, and it's okay to be wrong as such. But again, this you need to decide on the individual's basis as such. Constructive. Again, there's one thing which is criticism, another is critique, where you have the strengths as well as limitations. That's the kind of feedback which needs to be there. And I think feedback should be flowing in a way that how further they can improve, and with defined timelines when you're going to reassess, formally or informally, which should be known to your team member also. It's not that you just give a feedback and forget about it. That's the kind of process which is, and timely again. There's no point in giving a feedback after 3 or 4 days or 10 days. Okay, you said so, you did this kind of work. It has to be immediate as such. And again, this I think Dr. Sanjeev sir would have definitely mentioned positive in public and negative in private. That's I think a very important thing. That's where the status word which I used. You can use various other esteem or ego and self confidence. You can use various other terms, but that's how we are built in as such, and be open to receive the feedback also. So that's what I have given my feedback to both those, the young leader as well as the senior leader, that it's all positive. That means there is some bias also. Some point which should have come against me also. It's not that the leader always has to be good. So you should always tell me which are those things and how to improve. So that's another, the culture which should be there. So the senior one told me, sir, I'll tell you subsequently. Okay. So conflict resolution is another various models, but I think I'll just mention that avoiding competition and compromise. We many times feel that the 10% which are there, or even the 60% which are there, you can avoid, you can compromise, you can accommodate. No, it doesn't work in the long run. For short term, it can work, but not in the long run. Its long run is the collaboration part, and that's how the leaders of today and tomorrow need to listen more, need to collaborate more, and devolve their powers more so that everyone gets empowered. That's the kind of leadership which is there now, be it government, be it private, be it everywhere as such. And this is for ourselves, for all the leaders. And when you create leaders in your team, for them also, about the emotional intelligence, self-awareness, there is a lot of textbooks write this, and people do it also. Self-deprecating sense of humor, but in today's world, you got to be very, very careful of political, religious, and social correctness. So be very careful when humor becomes sarcasm or humor becomes incorrect. So that I think we as leaders, everyone must imbibe those things also nowadays. Self-regulation definitely. Ethics, I think I'll keep number 1 here. That's why it's in caps as such. Trustworthy, honesty, integrity, they're all there as such. And change management. Leaders must know change management. If we all know the term, it's a systematic method how you manage, how you look at future of the organization, looking at the vision, mission, and goals as such, how they change over time. and even within subdivisions or your entire organization as such, even your department as such, and then how that change management is done. We can have subsequent discussion. There's no time for that right now, but I would advise you to look at some odd book and all on this. Just quickly read it as a story book as such, because there's so much of experience. It's very easy to look at that. Empathy, social skills. We all know about that. Okay. So is the empowerment challenging or easy? Anyone? Quick. Of course, answer would be challenging, but how challenging? If someone says easy, then how easy? Anyone could share? Quick, one to two lines. No.
Yes. So it's the way to, when a situation comes, then we have to make a team and empower everyone to get a work done. It's easy. It shows us how it will be done. How we will empower each one and get the feedback and improve it.
So my next question is, what are the likely challenges? You can just name the words, not the entire explanation. Anyway, likely challenges.
Competence.
Okay, competence. Yes.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Lack of interest in the subject.
Yeah.
Time.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much. So, clarity and alignment of the entire team with your organization's vision, mission, and goals. That's number one. And the accountability, I think what all you said, it's covered here in this, most of it. And competence, definitely. I have not written here, but that's sine qua non that everyone in your team is competent, you are competent. In case they are not, then you need to have a mentorship program. You need to have some formal or informal programs to make them competent. That's another part of leadership empowering team as such. How to build accountability, that's part of delegation as such, while delegating also. And feedback, this I have already alluded to earlier, the method and how honest feedback, how much and it should be as such. Performance measurement, again, we have APER system in civil, in army we have ACR system. In the non-medical have different kind of ACR system. We in medical have different kind of ACR system. No one system is perfect. Each one, I have filled up APERs. I was in DGFMS office, I had civilians with me. I was earlier in DGMS and VSO after my study leave in epidemiology. Again, I had 50 odd civilians with me. I filled those APERs that time. So, in one of the APERs, I wrote that good work done, but because below good, they don't get the next promotion. Good work done, but the individual has reached his level of incompetence. I had written it clearly. He went up to court also, but I could reply and justify with all the comments and all, and he did not get the next promotion, despite all the political clout. So anyway, that's the system. It's as such, system is there. It depends on you how you utilize it. Similarly, I have written, I was told by my initiating officer, my officers who were working under me, whom I was initiating officer, my initiating officer was their reviewing officer. So my initiating officer told me that this so-and-so officer, I don't think he should be rated high. I gave that officer 9 out of 9 because I had decided prior also only. So instead of 9, because 9 you have to take permission, I gave him 8.9. Okay. So when the ACR went to my initiating officer, he called. He says, I had specifically conveyed to you that this officer is not good. I said, he's an excellent specialist. He says, no, he came out with certain traits and all. I said, he was counseled. He is improved after that. I'm talking of this year. He says, no, I still don't like him. I said, that's your view. He said, but you have to rate him low. I said, sir, I have rated him as per my list. You rate him as per your list. I'm not asking you how much to rate. So that's what, the team building as such, that you have to look after your people for whom you are in charge directly. If you are convinced, then you have to fight for them also. So that's this thing. And that senior officer subsequently conveyed this in one open forum that I like this officer because of that also. So that's another thing, it's and that officer was from infantry. And so this is what has happened. And in army, we have that kind of, a lot of times people outside think that probably army is very straight-jacketed. No. And especially in the medical corps, we have a lot of discussions, we have a lot of collaborations, because all hospitals, just like where you all are working, we are not a vertical organization, we are a horizontal organization. I was commanding GH Leh, that's world highest secondary care hospital. I couldn't tell the medical specialist how to treat people. I knew certain things, but I didn't know how much a medical specialist. I didn't know about what a surgical specialist. I couldn't operate as such. So it's a horizontal organization where everyone has got their own niche areas. how to make them as part of your team, that's very challenging, and that's where you are also faced as such, because all medical setup as such is not vertical, where the leader knows much more than the others, which happens in infantry and armored and all. The commanding officer knows much more than the others. So medicals are same whether in civil or in the army as such. So this is what challenges readiness, resistance as such. I'll discuss one particular slide on resistance also, how to get that 10% who were antagonists or even this thing. And again, training, coaching, and using resources. Empowerment, the circle of safety, that's a new word by one of the authors, Sinak. I'll refer to his book also. The circle of safety where people feel safe that yes, if we are working well, if we are passionate and we are contributing to the organization and to our vision, mission and goals of the organization, contribute to the country as such, whatever, then we will be looked after as such in our career progression, in our work processes, and our overall otherwise. That's the circle of safety, which I referred to you in my experience also, and this is what a formal term now which is there. So how do you self-actualize? And the flavor of the year, last 2 years, the word as a chintan as such, that we also need to do chintan. And so we have to first decide that is your team, are we a team, are we a good team, effective team? Why isn't my team performing? You need to discuss, see that also. And what am I doing for empowering them? So this is just, example, which one is a team or a group? Anyone? The left side or the right side? Right. Which one is a team?
Right. The right one.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So obviously, you all know what makes a team as such. These are the differences over there. So I'll share with you that common purpose, interdependence, complementary skills, and shared leadership also. My first posting as a regimental medical officer was over there. I must share with you before that in Army we have courses also. We have medical officer basic course after internship. All the leadership and all this is taught as such in this. Not very formally as per the books as such, but Army has its own manuals and all. Then we have junior command course before becoming lieutenant colonel, MOJCC. Then we have senior command course before becoming full colonel. Nowadays, we head for colonels. And as a brigadier, you do the SMOCC, senior medical officer command course, colloquially known as Samosa course, also over there. Because there's a lot of discussion and less lectures and more discussion. But that's as a brigadier, you're supposed to do that instead of just didactic lectures. So this is what one convoy got stuck on 14th of November 1986 in Zuzila. And so our unit was the nearest in Dras. Dras only had one unit those days. The CO was on leave. Young officers were in lay for some exam and all. The majors were on various posts, which now you all know post Kargil war, Lato, Kaksar and Patthar and Toroling and all. And the offsetting CO 2IC, one adjutant who was an attachment from infantry with a cervical from ASC with a cervical collar, and myself, the regimental medical officer. The CO called me that you have to lead the patrol because I have no one to lead the patrol. I had no experience of patrol leading as such. He said, I'll give you 18 men with you, 17 men, total 18. My buddy volunteered subsequently, but total 19. So to get that group into a team, because I was new to them, they were also new to me. And I had never led them like that. I was their doxa. Of course, they had regard for me, all reverence, everything was there. But as a leader, so that's how, when we started walking in 7 to 8 feet of fresh snowfall, 7 to 8 of fresh snowfall, you keep your foot, it keeps on going inside till it freezes somewhere. Then you have to pull your leg out, and then so I said, I will lead. So after every 100 meters, we used to rotate. After 100, you can't move more than 100 meters in that kind of effort as such. But I volunteered. I said, no, I will start. The moment that thing started, I said, I will start as such. Then there was an avalanche also. We all saved, and that's the time when I started shouting and giving them guidance and all as such, that you have to be in fetal position. All, of course, entire infantry knows about it. But the time of incident, how many really do? So need to give clear, specific orders that you need to do that. And then over there, how to organize them into teams to go so that everyone gets adequate rest also. We evacuated 350 odd people, treated them first, evacuated them. Then we recovered 50 plus dead bodies also, along with the horse team came 4 days later and joined us. And subsequently, I won't go into all the details. There were a lot of incidents, but as a time I could sense within about 7 to 8 hours of beginning as such that this is a team has been formed as such, where the leadership was also shared with the 2 senior JCOs who were there, who were supposed to guide me as such, and they guided me definitely, and also some other Havaldars also. And after about 8 days of our work, when it was over, we were supposed to be evacuated on 9th day, and started snowing on 8th day. And it snowed continuously for 12 days more. So 20 days we were stuck. But in between, on 14th, 15th day, I remember, we got a radio message from my operating CEO that, Doctor, it is now open. I have organized a helicopter for there in Kargil. It will pick you up and team can come later. So I said, how many from here? Entire team? He says, no. I said, no, sir, sorry. I will come back with my team. So that one thing, and so that's the, I don't know how it came to me, but that's how probably the army, MOBC, all the courses and all, that's how we learn and we start using the leadership from very beginning as such. Sir, we started quite late actually. We started 10 minutes. So,
persons are waiting.
Sir, that 10 minutes I need to take, which I gave to the previous group. So what makes a balanced team as such? The shared vision. I think I've covered all these as such, and plus I'll give you the this thing. But every member has to complement each other's strengths. That's what no one to be working at cross purposes. Do's and don'ts again. Open door policy, accessibility, availability, acknowledge, accept, receive, and also never criticize, complain, and condemn. Always critique and give votes. Efficiency, quality of work. So this I think again. Cognitive part, we all know what cognition is. I'm not going to detail that. Affect process, that feel process as such, that should also be there as in your entire team. Motivation, coordination, I have already discussed. Again, in hospital as such, which I have shared with you some example earlier. And here I like to mention here, I had a quartermaster. So in that unit of 350 bedded hospital, quartermaster is very important part of your entire supplies. Okay. So not the medical, the non-medical supply. And in a place like Leh, your rations and your troop satisfaction and also your patients who are dependent on that is a very important cog in the wheel. And he was a one antagonist. Okay. So on my right is the company commander who was a pure agonist of all my specials, and left is the Subedar Major. Subedar Major is next to CEO or commanding officer, even though all other officers are there because he is a main nerve. He controls all the men and all. So that's where leadership is important, that Subedar Major and Subedar also a very important part of your team as such. So how I converted that person to be part of my team, and he is still on my WhatsApp contact as such. And he got a promotion also subsequently, despite my initial ACR where I called him and told him that this is what is wrong with you. This is all how this thing. But before that also, and he had decided, he said, "Main to chhod raha hu." So he had decided that he's putting pause. He had so that's why his antagonist behavior, he had nothing to look forward to because he had decided. But somehow, I think time is short. We can subsequently a cup of tea or something discuss that how I got him into part of that team as such, where he started working properly. And he became a part, and subsequently, even now he interacts with me regularly as such. So those who resist, that's what the identify these four sorts of resistance. These are the few of the topics as few points as such to how to get them. And this is what few of these which I used, the work which was there, the quality of importance of work which I did. The first thing which I did was, after knowing that this thing, I said okay, we have old kitchen houses, we have old dining halls. In army, what has happened is now it is changing, but I'm talking of 2014 when I was commanding GH Leh. The patients are given or issued one plate, large plate with separate compartments for dal and sabzi and all. And so I told him, I said, let's look at modernizing our kitchen and our this thing. I said, these are the photographs, this is the equipment you need to take. Here's the funds. I said, I've spoken to Corps Commander. Funds is not an issue. So I gave him a specific task that this is your job, and when the inauguration takes place, you are going to be there standing next to the Corps Commander for inauguration. We made a state-of-the-art kitchen and state-of-the-art dining hall and all with teak wood chairs and all for the patients, and same for the men. And we stopped issuing plates and all to the patients. It was all there, proper heavy steel cutlery and crockery and all. And patients are supposed to wash their own plates and all. I said, no, nothing doing. We had a lot of funds, plus you need to look after civilian population also. I hired 2 civilian labor from Ladakh, gave them employment to 2 people plus rations, and they were there to wash plates and all. They were also very happy in that. And so with that was one initially which he also shared with me. He said, you trusted me that despite my attitude that I'll be able to do it. I said, you were the only person who could have done it because he had that. I could make out. You at the same when there are challenges, you also should be able to find out the strengths also of the individuals. And I think General Velu Nair sir has got a lot of such experience, rather more experience than me, because he's been a leader as such par excellence at various levels, also at DGMS Army. And again, you know, empathize, listen, provide feedback, involve and empower, I mentioned earlier. And of course, you also need to adapt your leadership style to get all those over there in part of your team. And challenges, of course, these are the few. I thought I'll have a discussion as such what are the challenges, but there's no time as such. But there's a few which you already mentioned initially as such. What these are the challenges. How to overcome them is again depends on you. How and those few points I have discussed earlier. Again, as MD Med, I'm not putting the hospital photographs and all. This is not the Southwestern Command. This is generic photo. But that's what I must tell you, that I visited each and every 10 hospitals and 18 field hospitals in my entire command in COVID first wave. And despite this is just photograph, I had taken off mask just for the photograph only for 2 minutes within the helicopter. On my second visit, when I was out, the army commander, I was in Bathinda, and I got a call. The army commander sir wants to talk to you. He says, "Where are you?" I'm in Bathinda. He said, "My MG Med can't be out of station overnight." I said, "I have to visit all my units. I have to meet all my people. My hospitals are not up to the mark. They don't have the adequate labs. They don't have infrastructure. The HR also not trained. So I'm planning everything for their capacity building with online as well as some physical courses, and also analyzing everything, and I have to go to DGMS and DGFMS for funds and all the other equipment and all also. And then I'm also meeting local governments. The headquarters was in Rajasthan. Hospitals were in Punjab, UP, Mathurawan, Haryana. And so that's the kind of states. I thought working with the state team also, meeting them also, how we can leverage them. And subsequently, when we get strengthened, they can also use our facilities. He says, "Okay, don't worry, you come back tomorrow. No problem." Next day when I came, there was an order that MG Med, when he was visiting, helicopter has to be given to him. That's another leadership, which I learned from him, that you got to look after. He wanted me in station. He says, "COVID is very important. I need your advice. You have to be in station. I'll give you my helicopter. You go to every place. Go in the morning, come back in the night." That's the another thing which is there, and we could do a lot of work over there. And nurturing next generation, just a summary of a few important points. This is my last slide. That you have to know about strengths and limitations of every one of your team members. It's a time-consuming task. You can initially have initial impressions, but in 5 to 10% of cases, I'll tell you, your initial impressions may be wrong. And even with those, then you have to subsequently work on their strengths and limitations. Equitable. Some people need more support. Some people need less support. Some people need more monitoring, more mentoring. Some people need less. You need to decide upon that. Cross-functional is another thing. That's where we in the army have the advantage as such that we are working with the non-medical and medical. We are working together. We learn from each other. So that's thing of like in your departments and also the administrative department people and all of the department, how they can work and the other departments and learn. Delegating authority, constructive. This we already discussed as such. Just to this thing. Here are a few suggested reading as such. It's Simon Sinek. You must read that, one of the new leaders in empowering team and all. And The Leader Eat Last is a very interesting book. Talking to Strangers. Malcolm Gladwell is another author. Few other books also there. Very interesting. He writes excellent books and all. And of course, I must acknowledge my schools, Armed Forces Medical College, AFMS, Armed Forces Medical Services, leaders like General Velu Nair, General Parihar, who's also joined us here. Fortunate to have both of them here. The NHSRC, work in Botswana again, work for government as the army as well as the civil government. Again, a lot of experiences there. Planning Commission, I was there where I learned from the senior advisor and member health about leadership lessons as such, teachers, mentors, and of course my ED secretariat. One of those members is already here, Dr. Surbi, and I have 3 more members as part of my secretariat. Thank you very much. I'll stop here. I think it depends on the chair if we have time for any questions or discussions now. Thank you for patient listening.